Hi, I'm Carla Butorac and welcome to Behavior Communicates. Do you have a situation where you need to give a student some visual social understanding? Our students on the autism spectrum need a significant amount of help with this because they do not have what we call theory of mind. This means that they have a great deal of trouble understanding what others are thinking. If you don't know what others are thinking, how would you know how to adjust your behavior to better fit into social situations? Well, you wouldn't. So how can we help our students to understand social situations? You can do what is called cartooning. The concept comes from Carol Gray's comic strip Conversations. When I do this with students, I do what I call full circle cartooning because you help a student to be where he or she really wants to be. So this is how it works. I've done this with a student who was in first grade and she was having issues with yelling out when the spelling test was being given, and we'll just call her Molly. And you can see that I am not an artist, but you will actually draw a picture of the student and a description of what they're doing. So what Molly was doing is she was saying, "That's not number 5." when the teacher read the spelling words out of order. Now, when you actually do this with a student, you will sit down and draw these things, name the characters. You will not put these descriptors in. This is just for your benefit. So here's a description of Molly's behavior. Then you need a perspective, the teacher's perspective. So we'll call the teacher Mrs. Smith. And Mrs. Smith does not have a happy look on her face. And this is where the perspective comes in. We're going to do a thought bubble of what Mrs. Smith is thinking. And usually when I ask students here, what do you think your teacher's thinking? They usually say, I don't know. Or they just think the other person is thinking what they're thinking. So Mrs. Smith is actually thinking, Molly is breaking school rules and she cannot be my helper, which Molly loves, and she cannot have gummy worms. So that's what the teacher is thinking. Anything that goes here must be of significance to the student so that they get it, so that they have some vested interest in what other people are thinking. It has to be real, but you have to make sure it's connected to what the child desires. Okay, so Mrs. Smith is thinking that she cannot be a helper and she cannot have gummy worms. Then we come down here to the directive. This is what we want the student to do. So here's Molly. And what we want Molly to do is we want her to be quiet when the teacher is reading the spelling words. In fact, I did a role play with this student and said, okay, I'm going to read the spelling words out of order, and this is what you do. So we practiced her being quiet, that's the directive, during the spelling words. Now, because she changed her behavior, Mrs. Smith is going to have a different perspective. So now Mrs. Smith has a big smile on her face. And we have another bubble thought here. And the bubble thought is Molly is following school rules, and so she can be my helper, and she can get gummy worms. So now certainly a new perspective makes Molly happy, so now we have what I call an outcome. So here's Molly smiling with her gummy worms, and here is Mrs. Smith, and she is smiling too. So now you have a full circle situation where you can teach social understanding to your students on the autism spectrum. Thank you so much for joining me here at Behavior Communicates. Just remember, the more we know about how to help the child or the students we love, the better quality of life they will have. If you like this video and you want to be in the know, sign up for Behavior Communicates. You automatically get my weekly video and blog, plus other resources that I only share with my subscribers. Please share this video with your parents, teachers, coworkers, and friends on Facebook, Twitter, and all your other social media. You take care, and I'll see you next time.